Ford is currently facing a significant financial challenge due to recent changes in international trade policies. The automaker stands to lose a substantial portion of its revenue following the imposition of new tariffs by China and the European Union. These tariffs have targeted key models such as the F-150 and Explorer, which are integral to Ford's sales in these regions. China, which previously accounted for a significant portion of Ford's revenue, has decided to halt the import of American cars, potentially wiping out $5 billion in expected annual revenue. This represents a critical hit, as China contributed to 15% of the revenue for U.S. automakers in 2024. In addition to the challenges from China, the European Union is also implementing retaliatory tariffs against the United States, specifically targeting American car imports, including those from Ford. The EU is a crucial market for Ford, accounting for about 25% of its export revenue, with substantial contributions from countries such as Germany, France, and Italy. The introduction of these tariffs threatens to further diminish Ford's revenue by an estimated $3 to $4 billion annually. This financial strain is particularly concerning, as it coincides with Ford's efforts to expand its electric vehicle (EV) offerings in Europe, a market that is key to its future growth strategies. These developments are not happening in isolation. Ford's production costs are also on the rise. The tariffs on auto parts imported from China are expected to increase production costs by between $2,000 and $5,000 per vehicle. This escalation in costs is likely to force Ford to increase its vehicle prices, which could dampen consumer demand, especially among middle-class buyers who are more sensitive to price changes. As demand potentially decreases, Ford is at risk of losing a significant portion of its revenue, up to 30% from these markets over the next 1 to 2 years. The implications of these financial pressures are profound, not only for Ford, but for the broader U.S. automotive industry. The situation highlights the vulnerabilities faced by U.S. automakers in the face of shifting global trade dynamics, and emphasizes the urgent need for strategic adaptations in response to these economic challenges. The recent imposition of international tariffs has significantly impacted Ford's production costs, creating a ripple effect that is felt by consumers. The tariffs on auto parts imported from China are driving up the cost of production, with increases estimated between $2,000 and $5,000 per vehicle. As a result, Ford is expected to pass these additional costs onto consumers by raising the prices of their vehicles. This price hike creates a financial burden for potential buyers, particularly affecting middle-class consumers who are more price-sensitive. The increased vehicle prices are likely to lead to a decrease in consumer demand. As cars become more expensive, especially those that have been popular among middle-income families, there is a concern that many may reconsider purchasing new vehicles. This potential drop in demand poses a threat to Ford's market share, as consumers might turn to more affordable alternatives offered by competitors. If demand continues to decline, Ford could face significant revenue losses across its global markets. Additionally, the higher production costs and resulting price increases come at a time when Ford is striving to maintain its competitive edge, particularly in the burgeoning electric vehicle (EV) market. As production expenses rise, the cost-effectiveness of producing EVs is compromised, making it challenging for Ford to compete against international rivals that might not be as affected by these tariffs. This situation could potentially stymie Ford's growth in the EV sector, an area that is crucial for the company's long-term strategic ambitions. The compounded effect of rising production costs, higher consumer prices, and decreasing demand underscores the broader economic challenges facing Ford. These dynamics illustrate how global trade policies can have direct and immediate impacts on both manufacturers and consumers. Ford's situation serves as a case study of the delicate balance between maintaining affordability for customers and sustaining profitability in the face of external economic pressures. As Ford navigates these challenges, it highlights the need for adaptive strategies to manage costs while preserving market competitiveness amidst a changing global landscape. The ongoing trade tensions and resulting tariffs have placed significant pressure on Ford's production operations, leading to potential job losses and reduced manufacturing output. As export orders decline due to rising costs and international trade barriers, Ford has been forced to consider scaling back production in its key manufacturing plants located in Ohio, Michigan, and Kentucky. This reduction in production capacity is directly linked to the shrinking demand from international markets, where tariffs have made American cars less competitive. With fewer cars being produced, Ford is facing the difficult decision of reducing its workforce to align with decreased production needs. It's estimated that between 5,000 and 10,000 jobs could be at risk, particularly affecting workers in engine and auto parts manufacturing sectors. These job cuts are concentrated in regions heavily reliant on the automotive industry, leading to economic instability and increased unemployment in these areas. The potential layoffs highlight the broader economic ripple effects that trade policies can have, extending beyond the immediate impacts on company revenue to affect entire communities. The reduction in production not only affects Ford, but also poses challenges to the broader supply chain. Suppliers of automotive parts and components are experiencing disruptions as order volumes decrease. This supply chain instability can further exacerbate job losses, as suppliers might also need to downsize their operations in response to reduced demand from manufacturers like Ford. The cascading impact on suppliers illustrates the interconnected nature of the automotive industry and how changes in one area can have widespread consequences. In addition to the economic impacts, the reduced production and potential job losses at Ford highlight the increased competition the company faces from international automakers. Competitors such as Volkswagen and BMW are poised to capture market share, as Ford struggles with the financial and operational challenges imposed by tariffs. This competitive pressure underscores the urgency for Ford to adapt its business strategies to navigate the complex landscape of global trade, while seeking ways to innovate and maintain its market position. The situation Ford finds itself in is a stark reminder of the broader implications of international trade policies. As manufacturing output declines and job losses loom, the need for strategic planning and innovative solutions becomes more pressing. Addressing these challenges is crucial not only for Ford's sustainability, but also for the economic health of the regions and industries that depend on automotive manufacturing as a key source of employment and economic activity. The global automotive landscape is undergoing significant shifts as international competition intensifies, driven by recent trade policies that have disrupted traditional market dynamics. Ford, along with other American automakers, finds itself in a challenging position as international competitors seize the opportunity to expand their presence in the North American market. Companies like Volkswagen and BMW are capitalizing on the vulnerabilities exposed by the tariffs, aiming to increase their market share, while Ford grapples with the fallout from increased production costs and restricted market access. This competitive environment is further complicated by a trade war that has created a ripple effect across the industry. The imposition of a 25% tariff on Canadian car exports to the United States has led to significant disruptions, affecting the supply chain and resulting in shortages of essential components. This has not only impacted the availability of vehicles, but also driven up prices, making it more challenging for consumers to afford new cars. As a result, the American automotive market is facing increased pressure from foreign manufacturers, who are better positioned to offer competitive pricing and availability. China and European countries are strategically leveraging these disruptions to enhance their foothold in the North American market. By investing in the production of electric vehicles, EVs, and establishing manufacturing facilities in Mexico, these international players are poised to bypass tariffs and directly compete with U.S. automakers. Chinese companies, in particular, are aggressively pursuing this strategy, utilizing their access to critical minerals and resources to bolster their EV production capabilities and penetrate the U.S. market without the constraints of tariffs. The shift in investment focus from the U.S. to countries like Canada and Mexico reflects a broader trend of realignment in the global automotive industry. As traditional allies and trade partners explore new economic partnerships, the U.S. risks losing its dominant position in the automotive sector. This realignment poses significant challenges for American automakers, who must now innovate and adapt to maintain their competitiveness amidst growing international influence. The changes in the global automotive industry underscore the importance of strategic adaptation for U.S. companies. To navigate this evolving landscape, automakers like Ford need to reassess their business models, focus on technological advancements, and explore new market opportunities. By doing so, they can better position themselves to compete in an industry that is increasingly being shaped by international forces and shifting trade alliances. This strategic pivot is essential not only for sustaining their market presence, but also for ensuring long-term growth and resilience in a rapidly changing global economy. The economic and political landscape in the United States is experiencing a period of significant upheaval, exacerbated by recent tariff policies and strategic decisions that have led to widespread disruption. These tariffs, intended to protect national interests, have inadvertently sparked a series of economic challenges that extend beyond the automotive industry, affecting the broader U.S. economy and its international relationships. The introduction of tariffs has caused a marked downturn in the U.S. economic outlook, with GDP forecasts shifting from expectations of robust growth to predictions of recession. This sudden change is a result of the compounded effects of increased production costs, declining export orders, and strained trade relations with key international partners. The tariffs have driven up consumer goods prices, placing pressure on household budgets and reducing disposable income, which in turn dampens consumer spending and economic activity. Furthermore, the tariffs have strained the U.S.'s relationships with both allies and competitors. Traditional trade partners, such as Canada, the European Union, and Mexico, have responded with their own retaliatory measures, creating a cycle of escalating tensions that threatens to further isolate the U.S. from global trade networks. This isolation risks diminishing the U.S.'s influence in shaping global economic policies and could lead to a realignment of international trade alliances that excludes American interests. The political fallout from these economic policies is also significant. Domestic industries, particularly those heavily reliant on exports, are facing economic uncertainty and potential job losses, contributing to a climate of instability and unease among workers and consumers. The automotive industry, a cornerstone of American manufacturing, is particularly affected, with companies like Ford and GM navigating these challenges amidst increased competition from international manufacturers who have capitalized on the shifting trade dynamics. The broader implications of these developments highlight the need for strategic reassessment and adaptation. To mitigate the adverse effects of the current trade policies, U.S. industries and policymakers must explore collaborative solutions that balance protecting domestic interests with maintaining international competitiveness. This involves rethinking trade strategies, fostering innovation, and engaging in constructive dialogue with international partners to rebuild trust and cooperation. In this context, the role of leadership becomes crucial in guiding the nation through these economic challenges. By prioritizing sustainable growth and stability, and by fostering strategic partnerships on the global stage, the U.S. can work toward reestablishing its position as a leader in the global economy. This approach is essential for addressing the immediate challenges posed by the current trade policies and for ensuring long-term economic resilience in a rapidly evolving global landscape. The broader economic impacts of recent trade policies and tariffs have had far-reaching consequences for the United States, extending beyond the immediate effects on the automotive industry. These policies have triggered a cascade of economic challenges that are reshaping the landscape of both domestic and international markets. As tariffs have been implemented, they have led to significant increases in the cost of consumer goods, directly affecting the purchasing power of American households. With essential items becoming more expensive, consumers are finding it increasingly difficult to manage their budgets, leading to a reduction in overall consumer spending, a critical driver of the U.S. economy. The tariffs have also had a profound effect on international trade relationships. By imposing tariffs on allies and trading partners such as Canada, the European Union, and Mexico, the United States has sparked a wave of retaliatory measures that have further strained these crucial economic partnerships. This has not only led to disruptions in the supply chain, but has also resulted in decreased export opportunities for American businesses. The resulting isolation from traditional trade networks poses a significant risk to the U.S.'s ability to influence global economic policies and maintain its leadership role in shaping international trade norms. The domestic repercussions of these policies are equally concerning. Industries that rely heavily on exports, such as the automotive sector, are facing increased production costs and diminished competitiveness in global markets. This has led to potential job losses and economic instability in regions where these industries are major employers. The uncertainty surrounding the future of these industries has contributed to a climate of economic unease, with workers and consumers alike facing uncertainty about their financial futures. In response to these challenges, there is a growing need for strategic adaptation and policy reevaluation. To navigate the complexities of the current economic environment, U.S. industries and policymakers must seek collaborative solutions that balance the need to protect domestic interests with the imperative to remain competitive on the global stage. This requires fostering innovation, investing in new technologies, and engaging in dialogue with international partners to rebuild trust and cooperation. Leadership plays a pivotal role in steering the nation through these turbulent times. By prioritizing sustainable growth and stability, and by actively engaging with global partners, the United States can work towards reestablishing its position as an economic leader. This involves embracing strategic partnerships and fostering a climate of cooperation that can help mitigate the adverse effects of current trade policies and ensure long-term economic resilience in an increasingly interconnected world. Through these efforts, the U.S. can address immediate challenges while laying the groundwork for future prosperity and stability. The recent upheavals in trade policies and the imposition of tariffs have created a complex challenge for the United States, affecting not only its economic stability, but also its standing in the global financial system. As tariffs have increased across various sectors, the impact has reverberated through the economy, leading to significant disruptions in supply chains and contributing to rising costs for businesses and consumers alike. The escalation of these trade barriers has made it increasingly difficult for American companies to compete internationally, particularly in industries like automotive and technology, which are heavily reliant on global supply networks. One of the most profound effects of these policies is the shift in the global financial landscape. The tariffs have prompted key international players, such as China and the European Union, to reassess their economic strategies and reduce their dependence on the U.S. financial system. This reassessment has included measures such as reducing holdings of U.S. bonds and exploring alternative financial systems that do not rely on the US dollar. These actions signify a broader movement towards financial independence among major economies, which could ultimately diminish the US's influence over global financial markets. Domestically, the economic ramifications are substantial. The increased cost of imports, coupled with retaliatory tariffs from trading partners, has led to higher prices for consumer goods and essential items. This inflationary pressure poses a significant challenge for American households, many of which are already grappling with stagnant wages and rising living costs. The resulting squeeze on consumer spending could have long-term consequences for the U.S. economy, which relies heavily on domestic consumption to drive growth. The evolving economic environment necessitates a strategic response from both policymakers and industry leaders. To mitigate the adverse effects of current trade policies, there is an urgent need for innovative solutions that can enhance competitiveness while fostering economic resilience. This includes investing in new technologies, diversifying supply chains, and strengthening economic partnerships with international allies. By doing so, the United States can work towards stabilizing its economy and reinforcing its position in the global market. Leadership is crucial in navigating these challenges and guiding the nation towards sustainable economic growth. By prioritizing collaboration and open dialogue with global partners, the U.S. can rebuild trust and cooperation, which are essential for addressing the complex issues arising from recent trade policies. Through strategic adaptation and forward-thinking economic strategies, the United States can work to overcome current hurdles and lay the foundation for a more stable and prosperous future in an increasingly interconnected world.